Futsal community, welcome to Caro Futsal podcast number 28. My name is Andre Caro, known on social media as The Doctor, and I'm here again with Rafael Fogageiro for the second time. Rafa, thank you so much for coming to the podcast.
Thank you, Andrea. Thank you for the invitation. I'm glad to be here again. I hope we enjoy this time together.
Oh, for sure, going to enjoy. This time we're going to be talking about this current season, this past season that just finished. On the first time that Rafael came to the podcast number 8, we spoke about his career, his background, about his time in Iran, everything that you can imagine about Rafa. But Rafa, you just finished your season. How was your season, and what did you accomplish?
The season was great, Andrea. We got some targets in the season. The main target still the league, but we got the Emirates Cup. It was the cup that we didn't get last season, so we were missing that, and we got. Now we had all of the cups, and we got the President's Cup as well for the second time in a row. It's a big trophy here, big cup, you know that. And in this season, I had my first experience working with the youth team. And it was amazing, incredible. You know well the team. Worked with this team last season, and we got the league, the under-20 league. It was the first league in the club's history. So it was well celebrated. The players they are happy. The club is happy also with this title, because it's really important for the club get important titles in the country. Uh-huh. And well, that's it. The league to me was not that good. We were not playing.
Sorry, let's just hold there for 1 second. Let's talk about the under-20s just before you get to the first team.
Sure.
This year was your third year working the club. The first year you rebuilt, you started from scratch, made a team. Second year, when I joined you guys last year, we managed to win a couple titles, had a good season. Third year, this past year, I left last season, so I was not coaching the 20s. You did 2 jobs. You did the first team and then the 20s head coach. Working with under 20s in UAE, which is the entry age group. There is nothing below the under 20s. That's the first age group they start playing futsal in UAE. What are the challenges that you have to face when you coach the age group in UAE?
Andrea, first of all, the biggest challenge to me was having a group of players, because we play all the season. We play with 6 players only, plus the goalkeeper. We can say 8, right? Uh-huh. So it was a little bit hard even to find a team to train for training. I mean, to build the team, as you say. Last season you worked with the team. And this season, we had, from that team that you worked, we had, I guess, 4 players. And we lost 1 player during the league. We lost 1 player to the army. He left to the army. It's an obligation here, so nothing to do. So to me, the biggest challenge was having a team, having players to play. But the players we had, beside the fact they were well trained by you from last season, they had something else from other teams, was the commitment of the players. You know, we had 6 players, and these 6 players, they were struggling to go to the training, but we could have some training sessions, and they were really very committed to the training, to the strategies. So everything happened well, everything gone well in this situation, Andrea.
What would you say, Rafa, that is when you're working with the age group in a country that there is not much futsal for juniors? What's something that's really important to start working with the players?
You mean about the content of training?
Content of the training, tactics. What's something that you'd say that it's the essential part to have a successful under 20s team in UAE?
Andrea, things that I learned this season were, to me, it's important when you start teaching futsal, you don't teach a kind of open game. You have to, you have to create kind of bounces, in the game to help the players to find solutions in the game. I mean, first of all, you need a system. So it must be clear, the system. The system we played was a 3-1 system, but with fake pivot, false pivot, not a fixed pivot, a classic one. So we started training first, the beginning of the season, we start training all of the exercises. They were not exercises related to ball possession, but no, were exercises, specific exercises, because as I say, we didn't have a team for all the sessions. So the training was basically make the players understand the space occupation, how to occupy the space playing in a 3-1. Mm-hmm. That was all the time. The relation between the players of the first line and the pivot, and all the time we had 3 movements, 3 set pieces for breaking pressure. We had inside the system, we had movements to start the ball possession and start attacking by the winger, by the back. And in the training we put circumstances of the game. If they press the back and let the game play 3 against 3, it was very useful here for other teams here. They used to do that. So I say, if they keep the pivot pressing the back to stop our ball possession, what can we do? Okay, in this case, this player have to be here, or this player have to be here. Okay, and we're gonna call this movement here, this, and this movement, this. Okay, so if I say the game is game for this, we do this way. Game for this, we do that way. So when we started the season, we won Calba, good team, they have good players. We won Calba 2-0 in Calba. No, 4-2, sorry, 4-2 in Calba. Second game, we draw against Horfacan. And third game, we won Almadam. And Almadam was the team made for like the federation. I mean, the players, most of the players, I think 95% of the players from the national team, they kept this group together. Even the head coach was the national team head coach. And they kept this group together. So in the third game, we play against this team and we won, I guess, 6-1, something like this. It was a huge victory. And after this game, we won all the games. It was, I think, 15 games in the season. We won 13, we draw 1, and we lost 1. Mm-hmm. And from this game, we got confidence. I mean, we started a huge confidence between players and me. Like the things that we are training are working. And if we keep this way, we can achieve the target. And when we started with 6 players, as I say, and our target was not to be the last. And from this game against Almadam, our target suddenly changed to be the champion without any lose. Mm-hmm. Understand? And I repeat, the work that you did here last season helped a lot. Why?
But Rafa,
because the players, they don't have a level below.
The year before, we started something basically from 0, but I had a big squad. I had lots of players. I had at some games, every game I had at least nearly 3 teams. Yeah. How did you manage to do the subs and keep the players fresh with high intensity with only 6 players?
André, first of all, we tried all the time to slow down the game when we didn't have the ball. When we were defending, we tried to slow down. What I mean, we had a kind of defensive system with a lot of changes from the first to the second line, keeping the height of the defense medium in half court. Most of the games, especially in the first 5 or 6 games, we kept the defensive system low, half court, and with a lot of changes. We played 15 games, 7 games, we didn't receive any goal. It was clean sheet.
The changes can save the players a lot of energy, can't they?
What you mean?
when you switch players, you save energy of the players, but it's hard to keep the intensity high.
Yes, it's hard, Andrea, but they were smart. They were smart because of the height of the defense and many changes, and of course the absence of quality of most of the opponents, most of the players in opponent teams. So they made the mistake many times. Not like we didn't force them to make a mistake. They make a mistake, and we had a very good counterattack. Very good. So after that we started, Andrea, playing pressing a little bit more in the second half season. In the second half season, let's say after the 7th game, we felt like we were ready to go a little bit up, to not wait in half court everyone, because we started knowing like the teams, understanding the best players, if we press. So then when we started pressing more, it was like we started winning almost everyone for a large difference of goals. They didn't have the ball. We had the ball all the time, and then we controlled the rhythm of the game.
Do you think that's a good process to have, progression to have, to start a team defending on the half court, and as they improve, you start pressing more? Or if you're going to start a team from the start, you could start pressing from the start? Andrea, or both could work?
Both could work. In fact, Andrea, it's the principles of the pressure are different of the principles of the defense in half court. Yeah. And it's not only about you change from half court to pressing. No, depends on your team, depends on the opponent, depends of the moment, the confidence the team have on you, on your work, on their work, you know. So we felt, I never planned to start in half court and then go pressing. Never. We felt this like a needing. They were in the game, they were like, let me go. And I never asked them to stay in half court. I tried to let them think staying half court was a kind of a way to save energy, maybe the best way to save energy, because we played, as I say, I had 6 players in the group, but we had 2 games, we played only with 4 players, no subs, 0 subs, no chance to sub, you know. Yeah. So they felt this. They felt like it's time to go a little bit up. If I go, I will catch the ball. If I go, they will not play. They stopped doing this, and it was like a natural process.
Rafa, one thing I remember that you used to really like was the pre-match video analysis of the opposition. But because you're coaching both teams, did you have enough time to do pre-match analysis of the under-20s oppositions as well?
Yes, but for me, I didn't edit any video to show to the players. No, I just made something very easy, Andrea. The meeting, the pre-match meeting, in the day of the match, sometimes take like 3 minutes, 5 minutes, maximum. I think maximum 5 minutes, because they are not able to understand everything. They can do, but not talk about, especially when you show the board. You know, they still have difficulties.
Rafa, of course, it was a successful season for you, but do you think that it's doable for coaches to coach 2 teams like you did last season?
No, Andre. In fact, I work as head coach in 3 teams:
3 teams,
under 20s, under 23, and first team. Yeah, it was, as I say, my first experience ever working with youth teams, and it was for me a great opportunity, a great challenge, and a great opportunity to learn more. Because in a year I used to have, like, let's say here in UAE, I used to have 25 games. This season I had 78 games. So every training and every game is an opportunity, very important opportunity to learn something, because it's never the same, you know, never the same. So we faced many circumstances, many situations that I think we speed up the process. I mean, myself, I speed up my process of learning. I mean, I had like 3 seasons in one. you know, and totally different circumstances, under 20, under 23, and first team. So that's it. I don't think it's possible to work with high quality. I mean, working in these 3 teams and totally different circumstances for each one.
Yeah,
it's very hard. It's very hard. I'm glad we got the second place under 23 in a cup. I forgot the name of the cup now. The beginning of the season, we got the league in under 20. And we got the President's Cup and Emirates Cup in the first team, but it's not easy, really. I don't recommend.
Rafa, just change the topic a little bit now, but talking about the local players of UAE, we just saw the national team unfortunately couldn't get through to the next stage of the AFC. They had a good team. They played well, but let's say they a bit unlucky. Let's just leave like that. In the league of UAE, you're allowed to have 4 international players, but you're only allowed to have 2 on the court at a time. Is that right?
No, we are allowed to have 3, not 4.
3, correct.
3, yes, and 2 in the court at the same time.
2 on the same courts, correct? The same time, correct. So you rely a lot on the local players, and in the under 20s, you're not allowed to have 4 international players, only in the under 23s. How do you see these local players coming through to the open age group? Are they going to be as good as the current players? Are they going to be better than the current players?
Andre,
what's your opinion on the future?
I saw many good players in under 20 and under 23. Really, I saw many good players. Also, there are some clubs here. I think they are doing a good job. You know, even this Al Madam, Horfakan, Kalba, Hamaria under 23, the coach was Brazilian coach as well. So I saw very good points in many circumstances, in many situations. But in under 23, I guess it's not this rule about having, because the rule is you can have 1 professional player, international, and you can have 1 professional local player in under 23. So, for example, some teams, they played 40 minutes with the international foreigner and the local professional. The professional foreigner, international, and the professional local, they played 40 minutes. And the game was based in 1 against 1, 1 against 1, 1 against 1. So what happened? The local players, most of the local players, they barely touched the ball in the game. They were like, take the ball to pass to the Brazilian player normally, and let the player decide. Let's see what he's gonna do. Most of the teams, also Sharjah, for me, Sharjah, they started the league with using one foreigner and 1 professional local, and they finished the league under 23 doing great without the international professional player, and playing very well only with the local players. They were, I think they were the last position in the league, but playing well, because you can't compete against the professional player. You know, the professional player for under 23s here is huge difference, you know, huge difference. The professional players, they are making big difference in the first team. Imagine in under 23, most of the players never played futsal before. Imagine. So it's hard, Andre. It's hard. Some things are hard to say. For example, some things. For example, hard to say why the UAE they didn't get successful in this qualifying for AFC. It's hard to say. Hard to say, really. I watched some games, and as you say, sometimes it's lucky, because I know, you know, Rauf, the head coach of UAE, amazing coach, smart, you know. knows a lot.
And someone very passionate about growing the game in UAE. I had him on the podcast about 3 podcasts ago. He came on the podcast and he actually mentioned that you were one. There were some foreigner coaches in UAE. He mentioned a few. He mentioned the Spanish coach. That was, what was the Spanish coach's name? I forgot his name now. If you can help me.
Spanish coach.
Yeah, Spanish coach. There was El Nasr before as well.
Yes, Pablo.
Yeah, he mentioned Pablo. He mentioned Mark Sorato. He mentioned the very first one. I should remember his name. That for him was the first international coach to help him. But he mentioned yourself now that
really?
You're changing the futsal in UAE and helping UAE a lot.
Really? See, I didn't know, Andre. I didn't know. But as I was saying this, he spent two training sessions with us in Al Nasr before the President's Cup. God, he knows a lot. Really, he knows a lot about futsal. As you say, he's a passionate guy for the futsal here. He's helping the futsal to grow. To me, it's nothing related to the coach. Possibly, the end of the season, this season was very hard. And the players, I felt the players, they were not physically tired because I think for the first time they had a fitness coach, and the fitness coach, amazing, do a great job. And mentally they were tired, tired.
At the end of the season, you kind of just want to have holidays, don't you?
Yes. I think especially here in UAE, yeah, tough season for the players, and after all of this, you have to play a tough tournament for them. So I don't think they reach the tournament mentally fresh enough to play their best, what they can do.
Rafa, your third season, you managed to win again 2 titles. And this time, you only kept 1 international player. I think only Husu you kept from last season, correct?
Yes. We changed.
So you changed all the international players. You had a few players leaving the club. You had, right at the end, before you won the last tournament, you had lots of players coming from a famous club, Shabab Elahi.
Yeah.
How do you manage to keep on rebuilding the club? And when you bring players from overseas, do you bring players to fill the exact spots for your strategies?
No. We were facing a lack of local players this season. We played all the season with always like 5 players under 23 in the bench. So for subs, so it was hard because these players now they are starting futsal now. The difference of the level is very high. So I can't tell you these players, they come and we have a system and they start playing in our system. It's not like that, Andre. Really not. Mm-hmm. Especially for the President's Cup, because beside the fact we have a solid work from like 2 years coming this year, the 3rd year, we got for the first time 2 pivots, classic pivots. Mm-hmm. And it when in the first training, when I noticed that this pivot, he was not able to do what we were used to do, I noticed that I should change the system. Let's say I should change the system and even change the teams, because we in the first 2 years we had one team, Khaled, Jalal, Mohammed Obeid, and Dej. Second year, Dej stayed. Second year, we changed some players, but we kept this team. Basically, we changed the second team for Taher, Talal, Gabriel Mendes, and Vini, the second team. So we basically had these 2 teams. We do some subs, but we kept this team second season. This season, mm-hmm. we started the season Khalid, Jalal, Mohammed Obeid, and Lucas, one Brazilian pivot. The things did not go well for Lucas, and after the first tournament, we got champion of this tournament, but after Lucas left. So, we kept 3 players. The pivot was new and totally different style. Okay. Second team was Taher, Russo. Russo last season, he was with us, but he didn't play. I think you remember. He didn't play. He was the fourth foreigner most of the time. We had Pedrinho, new player, and we had in a lack of pivot. We couldn't play with pivot, so we played with Ali Alawi, was our player before. You remember him. He was not used to play in the last 2 seasons. So this second team, as you see, it's 4-0 system, no pivot, with one player, local player, never played before, and one new Brazilian player. So we got champion with these 2 teams. After, in the league, Lucas left, and we had Nathan, another pivot. Pivot, right foot. Pivot, much more winger than pivot. A lot of quality, technical quality, but not pivot. And the second team, we kept the same team. Then, in the last month of the season, 6 weeks to finish the season, to end up the season, we got one goalkeeper, we got one left winger, we got one back, we got 2 pivots. Yes, 2 pivots. And when they got here, as I said, in the first training and odds, we couldn't keep the teams anymore. So for the first time, we broke this line between Khalid, Jalal, and Obeid. We broke this line. So we started playing in the first team, first group, 3-1, with Vitor, new pivot, fixed, classic pivot fixed. And we had to train the first line with Mohamed Obeid, Abdallah, the back coming from Shabab Al Ahly, and Pedrinho. And then we kept a 3-1 with these players. And second team, we had Taher. We had Taher and Khalid also playing in the second team. And we were like mixing sometimes, depending on the game, the backs, depending according to the pivot, to match the pivot. So many things. The second team, we had Bin Hamad, the pivot coming from Shabab Al Ahly, very good player, gives more mobility than Vitor, but very good pivot. And we were playing 3-1, 4-0 in this team because Ahmad, he was not able to play a lot of time. So he was playing like 3-4 minutes, and then we go back to 4-0. So because of the players we had, we could have like 3 systems working in the court, and we could manage even the team according to the opponent much better. So we won the President's Cup, winning all the games. We won all the games in President's Cup. The final, very hard, very tough game in the final, but Al-Batai, to beat Al-Batai is always hard. Especially this season, very hard to beat them, the champion of the league. And they lost, I guess they lost 3 games or 4 games whole season. So it's very hard to beat them. And we did well in the last game. We faced a great opponent. And with 1 month training, we had only 1 month, we could beat them. So for the first time in this season. So it was amazing, Carl. It was amazing having these players and having options to work, according to the game. So, André, that's it, Carl. Was tough work, hard work, very hard work, as you say, like builds again the team. And the most important, and to me, it's very, very important. As coaches, we shouldn't fix one mentality and bring players to this mentality or to this system. No, really, it doesn't work like that. You have to see the players you have. You have to understand the characteristics of the players you have. Then you're gonna work about system, but you have to find a way, find a system to help your players to give their best.
That's what I was going to ask you next. We have so many amazing coaches like Marcos Sorato that won the World Cup with Brazil. We have coaches like Marquinhos Xavier was there. Dejan, another big coach. Pablo Prieto, so many. So we have so many international coaches that have been to UAE. And we have so many coaches from Europe right now that I'm sure they'd love to go and coach in UAE, but it's not an easy market. And it's not easy because it's different to Brazil, to Spain, to Italy. You work with local players that are semi-professional. They are professional players, but because they get money, but they have other jobs that they get even more money from the other jobs.
Yes.
What makes you so successful in that market, as well as being successful in Iran in the past or other places that you have worked as well? But what's the difference working in UAE and working in Iran in other places?
Andrea, I think the most important for me is always the atmosphere, the environment of the team, of the club. So this I always I always work hard to keep the environment like competitive and fair and friendly. This is number one. I think maybe this is my characteristic as coach. Everywhere I go, Saudi Arabia, Iran, Emirates, everywhere. So beside of this point of the environment, having a good environment for work, I think I understand the culture here. I understand the mentality of the players, and I don't know if it's like a good point. I'm not saying it's a good point. I'm saying I understand the players, and I understand they don't have to work for me. I have to find a way to help them to do their best, and I have to make them feel comfortable playing with me and trust. This is very important. Trust. I trust my players. I say them. I used to make jokes saying, I trust you the key of my house. I can give for all of you. Each of you, I can give the key of my house. And I feel the same. I feel the players, they trust on me. And when you start working and getting good results, this relation of trust grows up. Understand? And when it grows, you start feeling the atmosphere of the championship. You know, you start feeling like this group is a champion group, because the players, they're happy, they are doing the way they like to do, they are playing the way they like to play. And I always respect this characteristic of the players. I always respect this. As I said before, I don't have a system in my mind and my players must work in my system. No, it's not like that. Even the system was built from these 3 years. This year, we face a situation, new situations, different players again, and we have to rebuild the system. Not the system, I mean, we had to rebuild the team. And as coach, you must have this everywhere, and not here, only in the Gulf or no. I mean, you must have this ability, this capacity to don't waste time trying to impose something. You know, you have to see clearly which players you have, what can you do with these players to compete well. You know, so I think this is the most important point for every coach. You respect your players, the characteristic of your players. They are in first place, always in first place.
I was about to ask you, who is more important, the players or the coaches?
Players. But this is sure, players.
Of course. Rafa, it's always good talking to you, but what's you finish another season. Have you signed any contract for next season? What is the current situation at the moment?
I have agreement with Nasr to stay here for another season. I have agreement. You know, the contract we signed the beginning of the season. When start the next season we sign. That's the way that they do futsal here. This is normal. But I have the agreement with the manager, Mr. Mansour. And Andre, I'm happy because this relation of trust. We were talking about trust. It's also very important when you have your back covered by the management. This is very important for the coach, and I feel that here in Al Nassr. I feel the respect of my back. I mean, of the management, especially Mr. Mansour. The club, all the club, whole club. I can't say they are not different, okay, but especially my manager, I feel his confidence, I feel his trust, and after these 3 years, I even feel his friendship now. You understand what I mean? So for me, the situation for contract money, I trust him. We have agreement, and that's all for me. Another club, I had offer from other clubs, even outside of UAE. But for me, it's very important. I know the success is much more than play a game and win the game or a tournament. It comes, first of all, it comes when the coach has his back covered by the management. They trust your work. And I feel this here in Al Nassr. And I feel it's a pleasure now to work in Al Nassr. Pleasure. Much more than before. Because now we got five trophies. So when we have this, you know, relation with the players, relation with the management, all works together for the success, you know. And it was easy to renew the contract. Easy, very easy. We were driving the car, sitting in the car, talking like this, finish, you know.
We always say that when you win trophies, when you Mr. Mansour, the players, you guys built a place where people want to be. People want to be in that environment of winning, a winning team, and then other players join you guys, like the players from Shabab. They came to the environment because they wanted to be champions as well, and be part of this process.
Yes.
But don't you get sick of winning the trophies? What's next? What's your goal, your personal goal?
My personal goal is win the league and Super Cup, because we didn't get these 2 trophies yet. So this is my personal target, and I think the club's targets as well. And personally, as coach, my target is coaching a national team in a World Cup. That's my target. You know, after, when it happens, and if it happens, of course, I will start thinking about, maybe I migrate to football, maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'll try to find another challenge, maybe. But now I just think about this next season to play well the AFC, the Champions League here in Asia, to play well, to like give back the pride for the UAE players, you know, in the region. Give back this pride, because now they didn't win the games in the qualify, and you know, you feel the player starts feeling like losing something. And I really wish I can help them to play well AFC and take back this confidence and this like self-respect in the Gulf, in the region, and then get the Super Cup and the league, Andrea. I think if we get these 2 trophies next season, it will be amazing, Kai. It will be amazing. To be, for me, like a dream coming true. I really expect this. And also, I can't tell you, like, I always want to win all the games. I can't imagine myself not winning the President's Cup again, and Emirates Cup again, and Etihad Cup again. You know, I can't. But I know this is sports, not like that. You have many clubs working hard now, very good coaches, as you say, especially my friend Marco Sorato. Such a pleasure work with him, playing against him here, and he pushes me as coach to be better coach, So keep improving is very important for me. But take the Super Cup and League, it will be amazing.
This AFC will be a very good challenge for you and for the club.
Yes.
But differently to the National League, you're allowed to have open age group international players. So you don't need to have under 21s Brazilian players like in the National League of UAE.
Yeah.
Do you have a list of players that could possibly come to Al Nasr?
Sure. The club asked me to make this list. I did.
I'm not going to ask for names, but do some of these clubs, where some of these players play? What countries?
André, must be one player, international player, anyone, and one player from Asia. So it's only 2 players, in fact, not 3 like in the league here. We can't like put all players, of course, no. And of course, my priority is keeping my UAE players and let them play, because they achieve this. Because of them, we are going to play Asia. So they must play Asia. They must have this experience. And we have a list. We have some players. Unfortunately, we cannot talk about names because it's involved many things, many things. Of course. But I already sent this list to the club, and they I think in the upcoming days they will start having conversations, and I hope all goes well to bring these players here, and they can add quality for our team. They can add experience for our team, but they must understand they are coming for a team to be part of the team, not to be the team, not to be the responsible for the team. No, it's not like that.
Mm-hmm. Have you worked with some of these players before?
In one of the players in the list, yes. Iranian, yes, but other players no.
That'll be very interesting to be able to work with that level of players again, that level of professional. That'll be good for you, and just to be able to. We always say that you always used to tell me that when you used to work at each person, there was a nice exchange of knowledge from the players to you, and same happens in UAE, but in Iran, because of the quality of the players, was more often, wasn't it?
Yeah, it is. And even the experience of the players, the Iranian players, I mean, that time, they were coming from the World Cup. They were coming from World Cup. So, André, every game, especially for international players, when you go and you play this kind of tournaments, when you come back different. Mm-hmm. And when I in that time when I worked with those guys, was amazing experience because of this, as you say, the knowledge we share all the time, the different cultures of the game, amazing. And here also different, but also good.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Rafa, I think that's a wrap for this podcast. I'm going to let you go enjoy your holidays again, because very soon you're going to be back working, preparing for the AFC. Yeah. Next time we're going to be catching up will probably be at the end of the next season. So I wish you all the best for this season. I just love chatting with you every time.
Thank you, André. It was a pleasure, really. I miss you here, personally, as a friend, as a brother like you are for me, and as coach here. Was a great time, amazing time. And yeah, I hope to catch up soon with you. And I wish you all success, all success. It was a pleasure to talk to you here. It was a pleasure, really. And now back to vacation.
Back to enjoy your holidays. That's it. Turn off your phone. People can't contact you on WhatsApp. Forget about it. Huh?
No, forget.
The only way for them to listen to you now will be through the podcast. Rafa, thank you again.
Thank you, André. Thank you, my friend. Thank you, really.
Guys, thanks everyone for listening to our podcast number 28. We're getting close to the number 30th, and that will be another special one. Thanks everyone for